Welcome to the League Stage Review on MPL Presents Cricbuzz Live. It is a Monday, the league is over, the playoffs haven't started. You may be looking at my face and saying, "Phir aa gaya? Aaj kya karne aaya hai?" Oh, there's so much to talk about. There have been so many games. There have been 56 games over how many days? Joy will tell us.
23rd, about 40 odd days.
42! 40 odd, nahi 40 even. 42! And of course, we're here to talk about all of that. I'm Gaurav Kapur. With me, Mr. Ajay Jadeja, Mr. Joy Bhattacharjya. Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening.
Sir, the lack of pressure of a conversation that doesn't have to end with a live game starting. It's a different feeling, no?
It's far too relaxing. Not used to it as yet.
Yeah?
But think about it. 42 is the answer to what? Life, universe and everything, according to Douglas Adams.
Yeah.
So these 42 days, we will have the answer to everything that life provides.
Yeah.
And your teams have provided you everything, from the highs to the lows to everything under the sun.
That's a deep observation.
Yeah, and if you add 4 and 2, that's the devil's number.
Oh, another deep में deep.
Yes.
But
Yes,
deep-
trumped is my...
अगर deep में जाना है तो पूरा deep जाओ.
No, sir. Right now, English, Hindi will be at 8 o'clock. Please save your Hindi. Please save your Hindi.
If anyone has to save their Hindi, it's me.
That's right. You must save your Hindi. We, of course, are going to be talking about all 8 teams that were on display. 4 of them, of course, will still be on display, but 4 of them have gone home. Let's have a look at the points table to just refresh your memory. Not that you've forgotten. You obviously remember what your favorite team did. Let us tell you what the other teams did, because this is such a unique, like never before points table. Never before has a team qualified with only 12 points, and never before has the last place team actually ended with 11 points, and that's what has happened. We've had 2 points, 2 teams on 11, 3 teams on 12, and 3 on 18.
And
Joy,
never-
you are a numbers person.
Yeah, never also have there been a situation where there have been just 3 actual points scored. 18, 12 and 11. No other points are...
There you
reflected in
go,
tables.
another pattern within the pattern. That's right, only 3 totals, point totals that have been. This has been so, I don't know, Ajay, you look at this and you go, all right, there's obviously been a disparity in the season. 3 teams pulled away and 5 teams were bunched over here. But that's not been the case.
Not at all. I think it's probably, I look at it as almost, from where I see, almost a culmination of, because when this game started 12 years ago, I had never experienced how a franchise cricket or how a team that is collection of people from everywhere, where you buy players, you trade players. So I remember cricket, all that I had learned in cricket was about you were born in a place, you represent that place and you die in that place.
Yeah.
That's how it used to be. And yes, we've had, you go different states and all, but not at this thing. So to see how, and every first year was what? Nobody had a clue. I think the players who were playing didn't have clue how this form, and forget about the format. We won't go into the format. I was just looking at the teams, how you approach. So, before that you knew how West Indies played. You knew how Pakistan played. You knew how India played. You knew how England approached cricket. So there was this history of teams or cultures of teams. So when you came into that team, you imbibed that culture, or then you had some player like a Tendulkar who would come and change the game, and things would happen over a long period of time. And then you saw this, format of cricket, and it's always been confusing. There's been because everybody who won, next year everybody tried to follow them. Somebody did something new, and if they won, the other teams followed them, because it is a learning that was going on. At the end of this table that I see is, the old system that we talk about, a culture of a team, and making it, use of every little bit that you can put together is on top of that table. At number 2 that I see is that the old culture that we talk about, they probably don't look at teams, with, those jigsaw puzzle. So they are at number 2. Number 3, who's been at the bottom throughout, this tournament, the way the modern day cricket is, and you changed the whole concept and you brought in that old culture of making players play in a cultural way and not in numbers way, are at number 3. And everybody after that has lost equal number of games.
Yeah, that is true.
So for me, it's a learning. Every year has been learning. So I think it's almost confirms that what is the next year's algorithm, how are teams going to look at things.
Yeah, but Joy, the question I was asking was that it seemed to be a lot more even, right, this year, where it doesn't look like that when it's tallied up, but a lot of the teams at the at the bottom cluster and the top cluster, as I call it, the 1 dozen cluster and the 1.5 dozen cluster, the teams below have actually beaten the teams above.
Have beaten the teams above. I think really that's, other than Chennai, who took a lead fairly early.
Yeah.
Nobody else was actually running away from the competition. Even Delhi sort of clinched it fairly late. Mumbai clinched it on the last day, their ninth victory. So it's not as if these guys had already packed it away, done it and finished it off much. So you were right. It's a fairly even league till a very. Look at the team that came fourth. Was actually a runaway leader at one point.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened? They just ran out of steam and they
ran away.
They ran out of openers.
They ran away.
Kolkata was leading the table at one place. 4-1. They were leading the table.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks into the competition, people were talking about this. Kolkata has changed the way cricket is played.
Punjab was up at the top at one point in time.
At one point in time.
So yeah, it was a really amazing tournament, and every year you get to see, as Ajay was saying, a new dimension that is presented to you. And this year, well, what was that dimension? We'll try to decode that in the next hour. I don't know if we totally can, because there's so many new dimensions that get added on. Meanwhile, talking about dimensions, just the 3D 3 dimension of Ambati Rayudu may just be going to the World Cup, right? Think about it. Think about it. He's been named as he's an official standby.
Yeah.
Right? If Kedar Jadhav does not recover from
what more can a teammate do for another teammate?
What more can a teammate? Yeah, what can you do, really?
I can injure my shoulder.
Tagged him. WWE. He tagged him while going out. Okay, let's have a look at a very unique thing that happened this year. One we spoke about last night, about how every team won their last game at home. But here is the home team advantage this season. And you look at it, and it's been, they've really, besides Kolkata, and here's the interesting thing. We've always spoken about Kolkata, saying they are not playing on the kind of surface that their team is made for, right?
Yeah.
Delhi started off also losing a couple of games at home, saying this is really not our kind, but they ended up positive at the end of the day. And for Rajasthan, well, not much was going right anyway. Punjab, I want to start with Punjab, Ajay. Punjab, 2 different IPLs. 1 at home, 1 away.
Yeah, and you could see that even when they started off at the auction, I think the players that they picked were very particular. Punjab's played players differently at different conditions. That's why you probably have maximum changes in that side. And those changes were not happening like the other teams who had lost and they wanted to make changes while they were winning. So there was a philosophy and a thought process that they were going through. And so they tried to pick a side in the auction and back them up with players at home. So at home, that's why probably they have more success at home.
See, my thing about Kolkata is that, remember, if you see the core of Kolkata spinners, they're from 2014.
Yeah.
That's when they joined the team. Narayan in 2012, but PC and Kuldeep joined in 2014. They were made, or they were purchased at that time for a very different pitch.
Yeah.
In 2015, the surface completely changed, and then everything went amok. So
the floor below them was changed. You know, so you pull the carpet from under them. Somebody pulled the carpet from under them and replaced it with marble.
That surface completely changed, and suddenly they didn't know. And here was the Gautam Gambhir days. You know, you score a 140 and the team who's coming into bat wonders 140 या 3 spinner आएंगे, first ball घूमेगा.
And then KKR scores 220 plus against MI, and MI almost gets there.
Yeah, but Dada, last year also this wicket was pretty similar.
No, that's what I'm saying.
It's become better for the last few years.
So I'm saying from 15 onwards, that surface has completely changed. They bought the players in 2014 for a surface which was a spinning surface. Then 15 onwards, that surface is no longer there.
Yeah.
So the core of the team they've retained is for a different surface.
Yeah.
And they had a choice twice. You saw with Punjab, they released everybody.
Yeah.
They kept only 7. They figured out. So I think Kolkata there probably...
They had the opportunity.
They didn't look at it that way, and they didn't see, look, now that we're not playing on that surface and we don't have that captain, we need to change with this captain and this surface. So, that I would think that is something that has been missed out way before the auction and not during the tournament.
Yeah, it was...
you knew it.
Who they retained and who they bought. And we've all been on air during the auction when it's happened. And we were, at that time, fairly puzzled by by KKR's auction strategy in terms of they were buying a lesser quantity of players. They had more inexperienced pace attack. They ended up paying more money for players that you didn't think would go for that much money. We were puzzled by a few things that happened there. And you could tell. And then when the surface changes as well, you have what has happened with the KKR, sort of almost an implosion that has gone on this season. For Delhi as well, just a word on Delhi. I think Delhi started off, they did complain about the Kotla. when they started. But somehow then that team adapted to that surface, which shows the positive win-loss ratio at home.
Which shows great signs of to the future as well, because the one team that has taken over now wasn't around before the auction. Sourav Ganguly in particular, part of that. The owners were not part of this organization last year when they picked the side, so they had to make do with whatever players that there already existed. And they started off slow, as you said, and then they figured out and they complained. Or naturally, complain means it's not a favorable.
You register a gentle protest.
No, I don't think you have a choice to do that in this scenario.
No, they did. A lot of them, they said clearly. They said it clearly in the press that, listen, we don't like the surface. We were expecting a better surface at Kotla. They said it quite a few times.
Yeah, and because they haven't lived there. If they've been around last 30 years, it's been the same surface. It hasn't changed. So if it had changed, you can complain. But if you know exactly what you're going in. So I'm saying they didn't have the choice, because this organization came in very late into the thing. And then they've actually improved from whatever that players that they had, because they didn't have the players they didn't have a choice to find a personnel that works better on this. So next year maybe we'll see that, but this year they've just got better and better and better as a side, because they've worked out whatever best possible that we have, and they've stuck to them. They've let them play freely, which is what I love the most about the Delhi side and the whole organization. And they've not bothered about the scores somebody has made. They've not bothered about at what stage you need to do what and what somebody else needs to do. They've bothered about a team. This is our 11. These are our strengths. These are our weaknesses. We're not going to worry about weaknesses. We're going to look at our strengths, and let's make sure that when it is our day, we make the most of that.
That is quite interesting. But you made the point about the new ownership as well, and they brought in best practices like Bengaluru FC, owned by JSW, won the ISL. So there is it's almost like you get a sudden, and you've met the GMR owners. I've met the GMR owners. They're just really polite, nice, kind people. Right? Sometimes you just need a little bit of that ruthlessness that you want to bring in, not in a negative way, but just a little bit of a, hang on man, we don't like this pitch. We're just going to say it. Whether it changes or not, we're just going to say it.
Yeah, you're going to push it. See, the other thing is exactly, what do you have to do with players? It's a very simple thing. You have to make players accountable.
Yeah.
So notice what even in the middle of a season, a captain saying his opening batsman, his most expensive, his premier opening batsman is not scoring fast enough. What happened? Many things could have happened, but what happened was, because it was said in the right spirit, it was taken in the right spirit, and that opening batsman actually went and accelerated his run rate and did stuff for them. So I think it makes a difference about how you say things, how you put things across, and how your communication is within the team.
Yeah.
And I think they did a superb job of that. And they made players say, this is your role, you're accountable for doing your role, do it right, nobody cares whether we win or lose, processes, get the process right.
Joy, I really like what you just brought up about communication. And I think in a disparate group like this, where people are from different countries, they're different ages, different
Single
cultures.
most important thing in an IPL team is communication.
Is it?
Single most important thing. That's one of the reasons why I used to keep telling them, I said, don't stay in the Marriott hotel.
Yeah.
And the reason I have to say it is not because of anything else, but because that hotel, the way the wing is constructed, you can't keep players together.
Yeah.
You need, like the ITC Shona is great for a team. Why? All the guys are in one building. It's relatively cut off from the rest of humanity. They're meeting for breakfast all the time. It's an opportunity to be together.
Yeah.
Whereas the Moria was an opportunity to sort of explode, because you could be in the next room and you couldn't see the guy because.
But they're still staying there.
They managed. That's what I'm saying. They did a darn good job with that. No, it's right.
But it's working. But yeah, I mean, communication is not. I mean, it's virtue of a little collecting areas as well, but it's also about how you are in the dressing room. Yes, sir.
I'm totally with you. It's the communication that is the most important.
Yeah.
And before the communication or after the communication, I don't know how it works in the system, is the language that you decide to communicate in.
Yeah.
The language of a team, which I meant by, culture of a team, it is a language that you have to come up with.
The language has to be English?
No, I'm not.
I'm kidding.
English, Hindi, whatever. Yeah. There is a cricketing language. When I said West Indies plays like this, Pakistan plays like this, India used to play like this, or somebody used to play like this, there is a language of each culture, which is very important. And I think that is what has really changed with Dada and Ricky Ponting in there. Because what they changed there was what? Think of Sourav Ganguly and Ricky Ponting in their past, whatever memories that you have. It's a battle between both of them. When you see both of them sitting together as a team, I'm talking about an 18-year, 20-year, 30-year-old in that side, because they've grown up looking at these players and you've seen that. And when they see these two sit together work on things, give respect to each other. I don't know exactly who's the boss in there or whatever, but there must have been some sort of a thing. That is the language that is the most important. Then the rest of them understand, okay, aise chalta hai. Because nahi to you look at it and say, oh, Ricky Ponting's boss or Saurav Ganguly. You didn't know. I mean, sitting here, I have not been able to figure out who the boss is. So the boss of that is the language of that side. That is what I feel, and that is the change that you're seeing.
Yeah. Let's talk about the teams now. Let's pick them up one by one and analyze what exactly they've done. The Mumbai Indians, of course, finished on top of the table. They won that last match yesterday to go on top of the table, and they won it in style. Pretty much won it in style. One of their big performers, obviously, has been Hardik Pandya, who has been absolutely spectacular with the bat and the ball. He's picked up 14 wickets. The economy rate, of course, is expensive, but given the fact that they play at Wankhede, you end up going for runs over there. But the fact that he's got 14 wickets for his captain, that's what's most important.
Yeah, also, again, we don't realize when those, vital wickets, really vital wickets he's got. He's got breakthroughs even when McClenaghan didn't, like yesterday, Shubman Gill was a big wicket on the surface like that. The guy's got 350s. He's been regularly scoring runs for them. So he's got them breakthroughs at very, very crucial times. He's always delivered with the ball. And that batting strike rate gives them that so much firepower. If you have both him and Pollard coming in those positions, they just look superb. And I think they're beginning to peak just at the right time in the tournament. They started off, and it's a dangerous year when you know that Mumbai starts doing well within the first 2-3 matches. First match, so they'll always do badly, but within 2-3 matches they're doing well. They've already woken up so early means it's a dangerous sign for the rest. And I have to say this is an odd numbered year. So 13, 15, 17, this is 19.
I'll add you 2 more odd numbers. 9 wins, 3 man of the match awards for Hardik Pandya. Which essentially means he's won 3 out of the 9 games for them.
Yeah, he's had a fabulous year. I mean, he's a player we've seen in the past what he could do, but what change that you see with his batting is it's consistently being done. It's not that he's changed the game. It's not the number has changed, batting differently. It's what he used to do earlier, or he does for India. The consistency in this IPL is really the big change. With those bowling numbers, I think I have this philosophy of wickets on the scorecard would look wicket taken, but they're wickets received and wickets actually taken. And that is why that economy is so high, because he's been bowling at those situations. And just to show, the other example of that is Dwayne Bravo. The year he won the Purple Cap, all his wickets are at the end. So all will be at the end, and the economy will also be worse than everybody else in the side. So that is one. The only over that I really think Hardik Pandya showed me courage of a not courage, mindset or whatever you see, was that over against Andre Russell. Because Andre Russell was, everybody's seen what he's done this IPL. And the whole thought process, what to do. So when they planned that, he bowled actually 3 wides, bowling that same ball that he was planning to do. And to courage to keep doing that after bowling a couple of wides is something so special that either his mindset is so strong that once he's decided he's not going to move from there, or that mindset of that side is so strong that they look at a player and say, listen, if this is what you're doing, even if it's going wrong, that's all that we need to do.
I think that's exactly it. I think the way their bowling unit, so there's obviously our friend Zahir would be, Zach would be there, but
Shane Bond
and Zach together. Bowling plans. So Mumbai has some of the most meticulous bowling plans. And for every batsman, so I was being told that even yesterday, that ball to Russell, for example, the bouncer to Russell, they used to surprise him with the short ball early. It's been given. Going across the wicket, basically going round the wicket to Russell. These are all things that they've thought of, made it, practiced in the nets, and made sure that they've got their things right. So that's what I'm saying, that they actually sit down and see, every team does that in the pre-team meeting. Every team in a pre-team meeting, every batsman, they'll show the batsman the side, and then guys will say, okay, how does we get him out and all that. So, but it's a 5-minute discussion. Here, it's a much, much more detailed process. So he has a plan, the guy will have a video, Lasith will have a video, okay, this is Andre Russell, missing these. 6, 7,
also
8.
helps when you have a guy like Malinga who can execute a plan flawlessly, right?
Yeah, exactly.
When you have a guy like Malinga, you have Bumrah, you have Hardik, Krunal, who's been bowling so well.
The way he targeted, absolutely. He just didn't give Lin any space.
And if you see actually Rohit Sharma, who's their captain, one of the best white ball players in the world, he's not got that many runs. Doesn't matter to them. They're still top of the table, right? It's not like he's been out of form. He's just not had that explosive 500 runs. He's not even got 400 runs right now. But they're still winning. To do it without Rohit's immense contribution.
Because this side is a superior side to anybody. When you see a side of, Mumbai Indian side is a far superior side than any team in this IPL. I mean, yes, Chennai is close to them because, you have one man in that Dhoni who comes in at the end and has how many dimension God only knows. So whatever is the situation, you're out early, you need more runs, you need whatever. So that takes care and makes that side look that good. And the others that are around maybe sell by date, but the way they were used. So otherwise there is no side that even comes close to the personnel that Mumbai Indian has.
Yes.
No, and I go back to that Shorus point of how many match winners does your team have?
Yeah.
And if you see Mumbai, they have 4-5 bona fide match winners. Rohit on any day can change a match in his own.
Yeah.
Hardik can change a match in his own. Bumrah can change a match in his own. All these guys have the firepower, and around them, even the other players that they have around them, De Kock has taken them through in so many days.
Yeah.
So they have that many guys that, okay, if it's my day, I'll finish the match. Thank you, sir. Batting, I will take care of the batting and see it through myself.
Yeah, well, you began the topic of Chennai, so let's talk about Chennai now. Number 2 on the table is Chennai, and like Ajay just mentioned, they have been a one-man army on most days. But when that one man is MS Dhoni, you don't need an army, because that one man's the general, and he's every soldier. He is Thanos, he is Thala, he is everyone. Look at him in the 20th over. I think his house in Ranchi should be renamed 20th over, because he lives in the 20th over. He loves to live in the 20th over. He has played the most number of balls in this tournament in the 20th over, by far. Look at it, and the numbers speak for themselves. This is incredible. How can a guy like the end? You know something? Actually, I have to tell you. This was me in school, not on the cricket field. Wait, before you go crazy. This was me in everything else. Project has to be submitted, homework has to be done, you have to study for an exam. I could only study when it was the previous night of the exam. Before that, I would pretend, I would open my books, I would refuse singles. Or maybe I would just pack the book here and there for a single, a slow one. But I would only get it all done in the last stretch. And that's MS Dhoni.
So that's your skill. That's why you love live television and not recorded filming.
I can't do it, man. I get so bored.
So everybody has some skill, and if it's used in the right way,
not live,
you get the best out of it.
Yeah.
But also interestingly, there've been lots of stuff on the internet about, how Dhoni is completely, turns conventional wisdom on its head.
Yeah.
So what he'd be really angry with? All the other captains will look and say, you didn't stop that ball, you didn't dive. And then he would say, you dived? How dare you dive? See what happened together.
Yeah.
Exactly. You dived. Why did you dive? So when it completely turns everything on its head. When every other captain is saying, dive, stop the ball. He said, don't dive. Your bodies are too weak. Don't try.
It is optimization of resources.
Absolutely.
Like I'd rather have you fit and hit the runs rather than dive and try to save one perhaps.
Yeah. And why 1 year? I will score 20 in the last over. 22 kar lunga is well.
But what is, it feels silly to ask that question about the secret of CSK success, because so much of it is Dhoni, right? Without really taking away from other players. This is in no way meant to be disrespectful of the other players. It's just that how he is as a leader and as a reader, right? He's just amazing. And you saw it when he didn't play the 2 matches. Again, no disrespect to Suresh Raina as a captain or to the players. There's just some superhuman control over proceedings that he has. Can we just say that now, put it out there and accept it as gospel truth?
No, absolutely. I think he's 2 things. One is the culture that he brings to the team. The secondly, as I said, again, division of labor. So, Simon was talking yesterday about what they're doing with Santner. Yeah. They're preparing Santner to become this kamikaze opener because they know Water will not be there next year.
Yeah.
So Santner will bowl, which works very well for them because he bowls spin, and also whack it up at the top. And they're getting him ready from now on. So what's happening? All the pre-prep work the Fleming is doing. All the non-live stuff Fleming is doing.
Yeah.
Like you,
so interesting.
Dhoni does the live stuff. So the running of the team, currently what's needed to be done is being done by Dhoni.
Yeah.
Fleming does everything that needs to be done to prepare the team to go live.
Yeah.
It's fascinating how
That
they
is
do
so
it.
amazing.
They break it up like
Eh?
Remember we talked about one day how cricket teams work? There's a CEO working and a joint family working. Here's a perfect example of that.
Yeah.
Because if the people who are in that side know this is where I'm going to be, then you prepare for future. The results are not just looking at today's numbers, tomorrow's number. You're not justifying. You're doing what is to be done, and you're building the next team.
Yeah.
Others are looking for result. these result will happen. Like Dada said earlier, process is what you have to work on, and they process. So starting with that Dhoni thing, that what is Dhoni? So even Stephen Fleming came year one, has stayed on. You don't see them sacking people, one, because they haven't lost. So, it is easy for me to also put it out there and show it like that. But even with their players, they've just kept building players and using also players. So they are the master at, I think they're the master of this franchise game. And maybe they understand it much better because they ran a cricket team for 30 years before IPL came around. Every other franchisee had never been part of a cricket team. They didn't know what cricket culture was. How does a player think? How does a big player think? How does a small player think? So they probably understand the language of cricket that I talk about much better than all the other franchises. So they've been a little ahead of everybody. I think, but people are catching up.
No, people, you're so right, because we've known that for years. Like in terms of ownership involvement, it stops at the dressing room door.
No,
right? You don't go into team meetings. You don't go into dressing room. That's sanctity for the people who play cricket.
Just one more thing I'll just add there. What is the difference? You can find 1,000 CEOs. You can find 1,000 marketing guys. You can find 1,000 every other thing. But you can't find a player. A cricketer, a player is a commodity that you cannot create. Unfortunately, in this, because you have to go through the auction also. So they understand the value of a cricketer and try and make everything around them. Whereas the most franchises for a few years have tried to make everything and then find that cricketer that suits their organization.
That's such a good point. And I would really add to that and say, not just realizing that the cricketer is everything, but the cricketer and the team. And when the cricketers come together and make a team, and there's a culture and a conversation and a way of playing, and where small things like where they sit, are they comfortable, their equipment, all those small things.
Simple things, boss. That's exactly what it comes down to. Very, very simple things. It's very basic, Are they, and these are things that every franchise does well. But, where do you start looking after a team? When you make sure that there are dry towels there immediately after for training. There, small things like that. How you construct your dressing room. How early do you bring your players? Let me tell you one thing. Players' wives, okay? It's a big thing for a player. Now, people say that wives are a distraction. It's the reverse. 90% of players, if their wives or girlfriends are not around, are likely to be looking for more excitement in other places.
So you're right, actually.
That's a fact of life.
It's a fact.
I won't know.
It's a fact.
So now what does Chennai do? Chennai, before anyone else, had a clear policy about wives and girlfriends saying, okay, they will come there. They've paid fares for them to come also. We look after them because, I've already bought into 50% of the player's time. The player is calm. His wife or partner is happy being here. Kids are there. They're happy being here. It's a family atmosphere. The player is also, not feeling stressed. If he's stressed at night in a bad match, he's going to go back to somebody to talk to, get it out of. That's something they sorted out much before anyone else.
That is quite amazing. And if you see Chennai social media, how much of it is about the kids? The little girls, Bhajju's daughter, Suresh's daughter, MS's daughter. And you can see them all playing. They're just like, it's like a happy family. It almost seems like a playground.
You will see them in reunions 20 years later. I promise you that, because they've built that relationship. That's what it's all about.
Such a good point.
So that's what they do well.
How many players will you see in team reunions 20 years later? Wow, you will see them. So essentially what we're trying to say is that for team owners, you have to realize, and team management have to realize, there's a difference between running a business and running a team. So run the business.
The business is cricket.
That's the business. There is a business and there is a team, right? There is an entire business around the team. Let the team be run by whoever the cricket person is, whether it's MS Dhoni or your coach or captain. The business around, you have business people to run.
I mean, I don't know. I've not run businesses, but I'm just presuming, and tell me if I'm right. If you run a business of software or company, maybe the canteen or the place that we see now, because Google and all have this kind of a space. You need that kind of a space. If you run a business of manufacturing nuts and bolts, I'm sure you cannot have that same culture. Similarly, if you have artists that you're working with, you'll have to have a different role. I think the good way to look at it is, how many people have created a creative company where artists are used. When you work with artists, you cannot have rules for them. You can have rules in a software company, you can have rules in administrative companies or things like that. So these guys that you're dealing with, the people that you're doing business, are artists. And if they're not artists, they're of no use to you.
I think what they do very well is what we call walled garden.
Yeah.
So think of your cricket guys, Dhoni, his team, the coaching, as as your product team.
Yeah.
They make the product. And they have no connection with the people who go and sell that product.
You both have exactly said what I said in one line.
Correct.
But because I have a pretty face, no one listens, no one takes me
Exactly,
seriously.
yeah.
This is the problem. Let's go quickly to DC, our third team. Of course, we spoke about Ricky Ponting and Saurav Ganguly a little while ago. I definitely want to touch upon the captain, Shreyas Iyer, and how impressive the both of you have thought him to be this season.
Shreyas Iyer, I think he's had a good year as a batsman. Very similar to a couple of years ago when he was actually opening. Out of the 14 games that he's batted, Prithvi Shah's given him enough opportunity to come in as an opener.
As early,
So he's had enough time, and that is what works for him because his style of play, his skill is for that pace, and he's made sure that every time it's a 160 game, he's made full use of it. A player from Mumbai never leaves an opportunity. That Khadus kind, and he has those skills, and he's maximized that. And he's been a captain, so it allows you to run the game. So he's been in a comfort zone. And for captain, the coach and Saurav Ganguly and Ricky Ponting, it's been an ideal foil because if you had somebody who was a little senior and had his own thought process, or you had not made him captain, he probably doesn't give in to you that much. So it's worked perfectly. The philosophy that the owners or coaches have had, he's gone out there and just implemented because this team has not been a tactical team. This team's been a philosophy team, and he's just gone about doing what has been sent from. This is what I feel. Maybe it's all his mind and nothing to do with Saurav Ganguly and Ricky Ponting.
I think we've seen enough on social media and everything.
But social media, I don't go on, no, sir. So I don't know.
So
anyway,
we are here for you. Don't worry. We are your eyes to the world.
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, my point is exactly. We've spoken about this so many times. So either the captain's the boss or the coach is the boss. In this team, I think the coaching setup is the boss. The captain is the implementer. It both can work as long as both are not trying to do the same thing. Right now, it's clear. I'm going to go on the field. Ricky and Saurav told me how to play this game. I know how to do it. I'm going to implement what their philosophy is, and I'm doing it really well.
Yeah.
So that works for them. Two is if you look at that list, of the top 5 batsmen who were not openers, 5 of them were there. Okay. The second name there is Rishabh Pant as well.
Yeah.
So that's the big reason. So batsmen at number 3 and number 4 have given them serious runs. So while Prithvi Shaw is not fired, it's number 3 and number 4 who's really been the bastion of what they've done. Rishabh has finished a lot of games for them as well.
Yeah.
Started well, tailed off, but then finished beautifully as well.
Yeah. Another team that you were talking about investing in the future. This is another team that invested in the future because the players that they bought, especially Rishabh and Shreyas a few seasons ago, have stuck with them. It's evident that they're going to stick with us. So they are actually well poised for the next few years because they've got a young captain.
Exactly.
Captain's going to be around for a while. Rishabh's not going anywhere. Shikhar's got a few years of cricket left in him. You've got people like Hanuma Vihari, Rabada. So you've got enough young talent in there which is going to stay for the next few years.
Exactly. They are going to be, once the 2020 auction comes and retention comes, they're in the best position of every.
By the way, I don't know whether that auction, we're not completely sure whether that auction will still be a giant auction like it was at the end of year 10 or not. I feel like it's not going to be another because they've copped a lot of flack and the rules were only for the first 10 years.
Yeah.
Right? That there was going to be the what I call the wholesale auctions, right? Yeah. Where you only retain 3 players and 2 right to match and then you change everybody else. I don't think they're going to do that anymore. That's not been confirmed. So if they don't do that, then Delhi is very clearly poised for good things coming forward because they've got a really good core of young players who they can retain pretty much most of.
Yeah,
I'm going to make a call right now. Shreyas Iyer as captain, in the next 6 years, is going to lift the trophy at least twice.
Big call, big call, okay?
Get in touch with me, #Cricbuzz Live. I'm going to be right here, taking questions all night. If you have a problem with that. Sir, the government does 5-year plan, I've done a 6-year plan.
I like it.
When you don't question the government for a 5-year plan, where will you question old GK for a 6-year plan? It's just way too long. But anyway, moving on to the next team. Let's see who's next. It's SRH. SRH has been fairly strange this season. Started off with one of the sure shot bets, right? For me, they were the short odds, not the long odds. Somewhere during the mid-season, they became the long odds. They're like, what's going on? This team can't seem to get anything together.
There's a great story, Robert Louis Stevenson's story called Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
Yeah, that's what they were.
So exactly, they were just two completely different teams. One is a team is
They were Sunrisers Hyderabad and Sunsetters Hyderabad.
Sunsetters Hyderabad. After sunset, they were different.
But that's what happened. So you can you put it down as simply as pre-WB and post-WB?
Yeah.
Well, post-B and then post-W.
Absolutely.
Pre-opener,
How
post-opener.
many games did they win after these two left? After one man left,
They only won
they
one.
won one. After the second man left, they didn't win any.
So basically, after Besto left, they won one game,
Yeah.
and then
So I would look at this side because, as you said, pre-tournament favorite was not because of the man who joined them.
Yeah.
It was pre-favorite. One of the reasons, of course. The other was what they've done in the last 2-3 years.
I think
so
that's
what
what it
changed
was.
there.
Yeah.
So that format of playing that they had over the last few years, they had problem this year. Adding Johnny, I mean, now we're looking only behind. So I'm going, why this happened? Johnny comes in. So Kane Williamson, who used to open for you and the success that you had last few years, your players that used to play in the slots that they used to, because this is also a jigsaw puzzle sort of a team.
Absolutely.
And what happened is they got 1 for 3. You know, sometimes when you get something free, you think, oh, you bought something for free.
Yeah.
And that became a problem because then 1 for 3 that you got, the one that you gave away was an opener.
They gave Dhawan and they got the 3.
The three that you got, when you got them, they weren't players big enough that you had to play them.
Yeah.
But by the time IPL started, Vijay Shankar was almost certain to go for India.
Yeah.
So how do you now leave him out in your old system? So you changed that system, you brought him at 3 or 4,
Yeah.
and he started playing there. So what happens is your old system of Huda, Pandey and Pathan, which is what you were winning the last 2-3 years with, had one of them had to be kept out, and that rotation started, and so that problem started with you.
Great.
And while that happened, these two at the top kept getting runs. These guys didn't get enough runs, and now that you are a jigsaw puzzle team, you're looking at numbers. You start dropping people and bring in that whole uncertainty into that side. And by the time these guys left, you're already in that mela that I say in IPL.
Yeah.
Bhul Bhalaiya.
Yeah.
Habda Dabdi.
Yeah.
So they had this problem of plenty this time, which is what you saw. See, what we see at the match and at the end of this series is, you know, the end of the culmination, like what we've seen with, you know, KKR we were talking earlier, or I can't even remember. We talk about this game so much. So I'm saying, so what you saw at the end this is my opinion, this is how it happened.
Yeah.
Because then that Williamson didn't come back into his place, and the whole
You're so right.
culture of your team.
When you
changed.
remove key pieces of a jigsaw puzzle, suddenly the picture doesn't make sense anymore, and you were anyway shuffling them around. And equally importantly, the bowling, which won them so many games last year.
That was I was going to say. The bowling has not been the same bowling.
Yeah.
Siddharth Kaul last year had a standout year. He had 17, 18 wickets. He gave them. This year he's not got wickets. He's not even in the first 11 most of the time. Sandeep Sharma was getting a lot of swing last year. He was getting people early with his swing. He's developed a lower ball and somehow lost his swing.
Yeah.
So suddenly those two players who are vital parts of you have actually gone down. And it's surprising because given the fact that they've got Khalil Ahmed who's done really well for them, still bowling has not matched up to it. Also, Rashid has gone for runs a couple of times, which has never happened before. So somewhere that bowling unit, which used to be the best bowling unit by far in the IPL,
Defending 130s, 120s.
Now you have to turn around and say that probably Mumbai is the best bowling unit in the IPL. Because that's what they were last year's by far the best bowling unit, by far the most cohesive team. At least bowling unit, that thing they've given away now to Mumbai. And their big other problem is there's one other problem, which is age. I mean, Yusuf Pathan, every year that goes by, he's just not the player he is.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's also making a huge difference. They're lucky now that they've got Manish Pandey in a bit of form.
Yeah.
But remember, even Pandey in form has not translated into wins. He's got three big scores. All three they've lost.
Oh,
it's a very
that is a
interesting
valid point. Though those are the 4 teams that, of course, have gone through. Quick call now. There's Chennai going to be playing Mumbai in Chennai on Tuesday. Gentlemen, what's your call? What's your call? Instinctively, who are you backing? Who are you backing? We don't need to ask Ajay.
No, but I'm stuck because both teams are mine. These are the two teams I've loved from day one in the IPL till today.
Yeah.
It's for the people.
So then good. Now I can ask you the question, who do you pick?
That's a tough one.
Instinctively, who's advantage who?
I'm Mumbai.
Advantage Mumbai.
Because they're a better side.
Okay, for you?
I think it's Chennai because Chennai will be more desperate to win.
Yeah.
Chennai is an old team. They don't want to play 3 games. They know 1 game. Somehow, if I put it across to Mumbai, I have 5 days to rest. I'll play the final after that.
So simple. It's
Yeah,
so human sometimes.
Dhoni has to rest for 5. They have to give him rest before the finals. Somehow, you've got to win tomorrow.
Yeah, let's just take one flight from Chennai to Hyderabad rather than going via Vizag and then coming over there and playing another game.
Old muscles, all that massage, forget it. Let's just finish it. Khatam karo yahan, you know.
I realized that actually, as I've gotten older also, if I have 2 meetings in one area, I try to put a third one also. Because I'm going across the ceiling. Might as well do 2-3 things. Why come back and then go again? So as simple as that. And for the second game, real quick, DC playing SRH in Vizag on Wednesday. What's your call? Instinctively, who are you backing?
Oh, I mean, with the luck that DC has walked into this. I mean, I love Delhi this year, the way they've approached. But I'm presuming it's a flat wicket. It'll be a nice and hard wicket. And because SRH, like he said, is absolutely right. The bowling has gone down. But their batting should take care.
So advantage SRH for you?
Yeah.
Advantage SRH for you?
Also, remember, it used to be the state of Andhra Pradesh. So Vizag will have a lot of Telugu speakers who will be Sunrisers supporters. So it will be, in some ways, home ground for them.
Okay.
Well, look at it that way.
Doesn't really matter in India anymore. So who are you backing? Are you backing SRH as well on that day?
I think
both SRH.
Without Rabada, SRH is the better chance.
So advantage SRH, and advantage MI, advantage CSK.
I'm not saying advantage.
Ajit, note karo. Jaldi se note karo. No, we're not bringing this up for accountability later. I am just saying that whoever gets it wrong has to order dinner on that day. That's all. Just take that responsibility, both of you.
You do realize that dinner is never finished by the time the game match is never over.
Next day.
Achha, next
day, sir. This is like
and Ajit, super team. This Ajit is a complete multitasker. One day he brings a broom, one day he brings a car. Now he's taking secretaries.
You have no idea. He's like octa-handed. He's got 8 hands. He's got a pen. He's signing checks. He's cleaning the studio. He's driving a car. He's...
Well, that reminds me, have you ordered food for today or no?
Of course, it's coming.
That's okay. As long as that day I'll do it.
No game has happened right now, so it's having. Ajit, khana lagao. Wait, we've got 4 more teams to discuss real quick, and that's probably not going to be as pretty as the previous 4 have been. So we're going to run through them really quickly. I wanted to start with KKR. I may just leave KKR for the end because, Ajay, then we can just leave Joy over here and then we can go.
Go and eat.
He'll wrap up the show in a couple of hours and come back.
He'd know about them more than anyone.
He would. So, okay, let's just start with KKR so that we're here, the adults, to supervise him to control the tears if we have to. We start with KKR, of course. KKR had a flyer of a season to begin with, then lost 6 games in a row. And there's really very little you can say when a team loses 6 in a row, right?
Yeah. The thing about it is that they had a chance to come back. You know, circumstances fell in their this thing. They did very well against Mumbai at Mumbai. They beat Mohali.
Mumbai in Kolkata.
Then beat them in Mohali, Punjab in Mohali. So they started that comeback. They had an opportunity. I think KKR should consider itself very fortunate that they had something to play for on the last day of the regular season. They actually had a chance to qualify.
Yeah.
Because given the way they played, it shouldn't have happened. And it's been a tale of many things. But, you know, the only bright spot they can look at it is at least they know now that Shubman Gill's opening position is fixed.
Yeah.
They need to fix bowlers because that bowling attack looks the worst.
Yeah, look, but actually, you know, we spoke about it at length last night. And Ajay, I know you were on the Hindi broadcast. So I'd like you to weigh in on this. For us, that team yesterday, KKR just looked deflated. Right?
Yeah.
And it looked deflated. It looked like it looked like, you know, there's a saying in English where they say the engine's running, but there's no one behind the wheel. It almost that it just seemed. What did you make of KKR's performance yesterday in terms of intent?
Look, they came in, you know, with an opportunity to get into, you know, the playoffs, and you know, give any team an opportunity at the start of the season, especially, you know, maybe Mumbai, even Mumbai would probably take it. That you have a one man. If you win the last game, you are in the finals. You take it. So that was the opportunity that they had, in spite of what has happened in the season. So there's 2 ways they could have approached, and the way I saw it, either you go all out or you go, you know, sensibly. I felt they went sensibly to start with. They got into a problem with a couple of 1 over from Mitch to Uthappa.
Yeah.
You know, that over that he just couldn't get anything on the bat. 1 over maiden. He'd already had 3-4 balls before that. The pressure got on. Captain is with you. The conversation is happening. And he walked in at the 3rd ball or the 4th ball, I remember, to, you know, calm him down. It's okay. It's all that, whatever. And then he gets out. When he gets out, you know, Uthappa's still at the other end. Then what happens? Walks in Andre Russell, the man that is going to change the game. Gets out second ball, a third ball. What does this man do? He's already had a bad couple of overs. He's seen two of his best players go away in that over. So he has to play sensibly again. So it became more calmer. And then when Rana walked in, he started smashing them all over. So what does a senior... If there was a younger kid at the other end, things probably would have changed. Because when Rana started smashing it, the natural thing is to do hold the innings together. But when Rana got out, he tried hitting again one more over that he just couldn't connect anything. And because they started so cautiously, and the people that they were banking on to take it cautiously and then have a blast at the end, I think that whole plan went wrong because you can't plan how somebody will get out or what will happen. So that's my observation of that team, and that his mindset was not just that game. I think Dada said a few days ago on I heard it on Cricbuzz, is that it's not his skill, it's the mindset. And what did that mindset, why did it get to that stage? Starting first game, when Nitish Rana walks into open, because your main plan because this is a planned team, you had a plan of Lin and what's his name? Narayan. He gets injured, gets hurt in his hand, so you send Rana in. He has a fabulous knock, he gets an 80 odd, then you are stuck. The guy was going to play at 5 and 6, you had to push him aage. So that same thing that I talked about SRH, then he got pushed back, then Uttappa got pushed back, which he doesn't like. Then he was left out for a couple of games, which is fine, but then you brought him back. So you brought somebody back who's already in that state of mind that he referred to, and he was the one spending the most time on the pitch on a day which was your most important day, whether you qualify or not.
Yeah.
So from where I see, that went wrong.
What are for you, what all do they need to set right?
Bowling for starters.
Yeah.
Absolutely. They need to just revamp that bowling department. They need to look at it. And this is a fast bowler's wicket. Yeah, they have also been very unfortunate. Nagarkoti's been injured, Mavi's been injured. But even having said that, I don't believe Mavi and Nagarkoti are going to be premier fast bowlers who are going to scare anybody.
Not yet.
Not yet. They're not Rabada as yet.
Yeah.
They need an enforcer bowler. They had Stark got injured, never came. They need an enforcer bowler because Harry Gurney is a wicket. Harry Gurney is... You have to give him wickets. He can't take wickets, But need someone like Rabada who will come in with the new ball and really just take it, he can run through a team on his day. And that's the first thing they'll need. The second thing is they'll need to now say that, okay, if this is the situation, where do I play Uttappa? Do I play him at all? Because if he's not happy floating and there is no fixed role for him, then they'll have to figure out what to do. Yeah. Similarly, they have a situation with Piyush Kuldeep. They've traditionally been played 3 spinners. It's out of position. The Kolkata pitch of today does not need 3 spinners. Is it now time for them to say that, okay, let us offload one of these guys at either the auction or we do a trade with some other team and get in somebody else. Maybe a fast bowler, maybe an Indian batsman, get in somebody else. And these are the 3 basic things they need to do. 4, and I genuinely feel it, they need one enforcer, top quality international batsman. They don't actually, because Linny is a basher. Linny is not. So Linny, what happens is he gets it. But on days where they're bad pitches, he's not the kind of guy who's going to score a 100.
Force the pace, yeah. On those days. All right, let's talk about Kings 11 Punjab. Sorry, did you want to say one more point? Okay, Kings 11 Punjab. Kings 11 Punjab, the same story as last year. They start off well, and then somewhere halfway through the season, they just get bored. It was like me when writing a maths exam. The first 1 hour, I'd be so excited, and then I'd just go like, extra sheets, and no, not for me. I'm done. Yeah, I just wouldn't want to. What happens, Ajay? What happens this every year? How does this happen every year? We know this is a long tournament in terms of it's, okay, not long, 6-7 weeks, but it's an intense tournament which feels long. What happens?
Well, I mean, this season with Kings 11 is really tough because last year you could still understand there was a conflict between, the coach philosophy of the game and the
captain, two different thought processes.
But this time it was very simple. It was one philosophy. The captain had got the coach, so they think similar. He's also one who believes in jigsaw puzzle. Yeah. So it can't be that. So and it's very difficult. The only real big observation that I've had is that all players, and include say from Chris Gale to KL Rahul to at the end, the way I see them, they play differently from what their natural game is.
Yeah.
And so somebody like Chris Gale, who has a good year in terms of numbers, but the impact's missing. You have KL Rahul, who has great numbers, whose impact is missing because he was playing in a different role. And then finally he showed you he can still do in the last game.
So I don't know. We asked Simon Dool yesterday. I said, do you think that that's the role being assigned to him? Because
But that,
or is that
how
how he
does it
chose to
work
play?
in the no,
Exactly. Did he just choose to play like that?
No. I don't think.
You don't think he chose?
I don't think he chose the role. I just think somewhere he got pressured himself, seeing Gale get out or whatever, feeling that he needed to hold it together. See, the other thing is that it's also one of those Enid Blyton stories that you see. The mystery of the missing middle order. There isn't a middle order. That's the problem. They don't have a middle order. And the fact of it is, Sarfraz, Mandeep, they moved everyone around. Nobody has given it to them.
Yeah.
Right at the end, they got Nicholas Purun, who finally got a few runs for them and, got somewhere there. But otherwise, that middle order was doing nothing for them. That's a big one. Third
Change is the only constant.
No, and not only that.
But, sorry.
My bigger question to you is, one is the changes. They had some injuries, so, Ashwin. The second is, who is making that team?
Yeah.
Is this a team that's been made by WhatsApp messages which have been sent to the owner, who then sends it to the captain or the coach at 2 o'clock at night? Because that's what I heard is happening. Because everyone and his brother has great suggestions, and that's why, India, everyone's crazy about cricket. So
1.2 billion cricket experts.
Exactly. And they keep sending you messages. So I'm saying that if the ownership has a huge say in selection of a team, then you're a team in trouble.
Yeah, as you said, Ajay, clearly, let the cricketers run the cricket. Like the team selection. What are your views on team selection? The team selection's got to be the captain or the coach. Captain and the coach, or captain or the coach.
Look, I actually...
it's got to be them, between them.
From the era that I come, there was no coach in the side.
Yeah.
So, coach was not part of the
It was captain's team.
Coach didn't exist. Coach existed at school
at that
and
time
college.
it was captain's team,
when you were learning the game, and that is where you had to be taught how to play and run the game.
Yeah.
And then it is always captain's team. I don't know who decides an 11, who actually signs on the 11 in IPL.
No, the captain.
Right? So I'm saying, so if the coaches are there, whatever's happening, so it's the captain who's taking the side in. He has to be sure of what team that he's picked. And I'm with my friend, but Shane Warne on that front. Remember once he said about coaches, because we may be totally wrong, because we come from a different era. The times have changed. I understand you have to change, and so you have to find this new system of how you're going to run, because it's only the captain who's inside the ground. The coach is in the dugout. So when you're batting, yes, coach might have a role to chat to the players and tell them what to do. But once you're inside, the two batsmen have to figure out, this is the wicket, these are the bowlers bowling, this fellow's come on to bowl. So all decisions, you need to have smarter players. When you provide, it's like me, my father tried so hard, my mother, sorry, not my father, gave me 24 teachers, tuition le lo, फिर भी नहीं पढ़ पाया ना English. So, tuition से कुछ नहीं होता.
But I have it on good.
So if you were taught...
Not tuition, intuition. Cricket is about intuition.
It is about intuition, because it is a matter of...
And intuition will only come if you spend time on the field. If you are...
So, I mean, this is not the right platform, but I've said this many a times. At under 15, with district matches, state matches, under 19, please do not put these analysts and coaches that you have into these people, because they are growing up not making those mistakes. They're not, no kid who's coming through under 15 to under 19 today has made a toss and made a decision looking at the wicket, and then he's not learned that after he's made his mistake.
Yeah.
So he gets to IPL in a few years, or whenever he comes here, he has no clue what a wicket looks. So he'll look up to his analyst and say, "Kya batao?" So the game, the sport is to be played to learn. When you get here, that is different. This is a job. But the education of sport has changed, so you are getting different kinds of players. So I don't know, I'm still trying to learn that what do these coaches and owners and whatever this thing is.
No, I'm only saying that Mike Hesson is now looking very seriously at film scripts. Because if the owners are looking at cricket teams, you might as well look at film scripts.
No, but what did they see in him and brought him here?
He's a national coach of a team. No, he must be looking at you. I
was listening to you seriously. I was like, what's he saying? Why? What? Then I said, ooh, snide comment. Oh.
So I'm saying...
We're becoming a TMZ show since last night. Yeah, TMZ.
So it's
all access.
It's an evolution process of this sport.
Yeah, I guess
there is no right and wrong.
I think everybody's...
I mean, just look at the last 12 years. What have team done? You know, they started and everybody's just followed everybody who's been the winner. So if the winner does something this year, everybody follows them.
Yeah.
Moneyball came, everybody went Moneyball.
Yeah.
So the Moneyball is at the bottom today. The last 6 that you
No,
see
not
are all
really.
Moneyball.
Not everyone's not on Moneyball because you've
No,
still
I'm saying
had,
this year.
you've had CSK and MI and
I'm
K.
saying-
They're still sticking to their philosophy.
No, you
not
learn.
everyone's gone Moneyball.
You learn.
Rajasthan went Moneyball.
I'm saying you look at the table this year. Let's put that table up. Let's look at it and you tell me now. You look.
RR went away from their Moneyball philosophy.
No, I'm
no?
saying look at
RR
this
the last 2 years.
I'm saying look at this year's table. This is a stat.
Yeah.
What does the fact say to you? Look at the teams from top to bottom.
Yeah.
How many teams at the top do you see who are not Moneyball? And how many teams do you see at the bottom?
I see actually no team in there being Moneyball anymore because Rajasthan was the only one who would make these.
Sorry,
and
wrong.
They still do it.
Moneyball is wrong.
One thing
the
about
word is wrong. I'm saying people who make jigsaw puzzle teams versus culture of their teams. That is what I mean. Look at those teams.
I have a feeling that Kolkata has had a culture of a team, at least. I mean, the personnel have changed, and a captain changes, I guess, an era changes, right? So, even when the Indian cricket team, there was a Saurav Ganguly era when he was captain, then Dhoni became captain, then Virat became captain, the language and the culture changes, and I feel like a transition from a Gautam Gambhir team for 8 years to a DK team.
Okay, why are you a Liverpool fan?
Steven Gerrard. But Liverpool, I mean, it's very, as I'm saying, it's very, for me,
I'm saying,
by the way, how much time do you have? Because I could answer why I'm a Liverpool fan, but it'll take a good 20 minutes.
I've been here.
Which is giving Kalol a heart attack right now in my ear. He's going, please wind the show up. What the hell are you guys doing? Sorry, Kalol. I know we have a Hindi show as well. So we're going to go to that. And I promise Ajay and me will have that Liverpool conversation outside. Right now, we're going to go to the next team that we have to go to because we still have 2 teams left. One is Rajasthan Royals, of course. And for the Rajasthan Royals, this year was the saga of captains going here, captains going there. There was Ajinkya Rahane who was captain. Then Steve Smith came in as captain for 5 matches. And then, for 5 matches. And then Ajinkya came back again for 1. So it was 8, 5, 1. So 3 captains effectively this season. Yeah. Rahane, Smith and Rahane. And we'll ask Joy because Joy has been part of a team which has had 3 captains in the same season. Yes, the famous three captain season of KKR from 2009. Yeah, or was it a 4 captain season?
Yeah, no, we were planning to have 4 captains on the field itself.
Oh, actually, same field, you have 4 captains. Why not make everybody a captain of their area? Like you are the cover point. You're the cover captain.
Pakistan used to do that captain for a long time. There was this great line I read in a Pakistan book. I mean, Osman Samiuddin wrote this fantastic book. And there's this one line he wrote out there which says, in the mid-90s, peace broke out in the Pakistan cricket team. That was one. And it's so used to conflict that for a while, people being nice to each other, peace broke out. That's fantastic.
That is a good line.
Yeah,
that is a really good line. But yeah, so talking about the Rajasthan Royals and talking about their change in captain.
Exactly. He didn't work as captain. They had to remove him. They had no option because Steve Smith was going. So he had to come back for 1. But it's very clear now that the long-term guy they're looking at is Steve Smith for captain. And Rahane is just, I feel he was almost relieved when the role was taken away from him, allowed to play his game. His game improved dramatically. The strange thing is I think Rajasthan have found some things at the end of the season which they hadn't found before.
Yeah.
So one is Rahane is looking back in form. I thought Varun Aaron and O'Shane Thomas were very impressive towards the end. I loved Riyan Parag. Yeah. Great temperament. And see, 90% of T20 cricket is about making smart decisions. So one of it is talent, making smart decisions. When do I want to hit it? When do I want to whack it? When do I hold on? He's made some wonderful decisions, great decision making for this 18-year-old kid. Yeah. Whose father was playing with Dhoni 10 years back. Yeah. That's some amazing, stunning decision.
But Ajay, with Rajasthan Royals, you look at this team.
What he's just said.
Yeah, what you see
this team when you go
decision
making.
They actually didn't have a really bad season actually. Who? Rajasthan Royals. If you look at them, it's not a shambles. Like with KKR, it's fallen away. You can look at there's some trouble here. With Kings 11, you looked and you said, I don't know, something's not adding up. With the Rajasthan Royals, somehow you saw it and you go, listen, I think they've got a fair number of positives going into the next season.
Yeah, I think that's been the style of that team, except for year 1 when you leave Shane Warne when he was leading that side. Totally run in a different way, but over the years, when they've qualified or when they've not qualified, they've been in and around. They make changes because of your, jigsaws that you change. They've always had this thing. Ajinkya Rane, this is not the first year he's been captain. He's captained a few games last year also. So they go round and round the way they've run the game. And they've always found players. They've actually unearthed talent in this country.
That's another question I wanted to ask you.
One risk that they've taken, I can say, over the years is, totally unknown. Tambe was one guy I remember, leg spinner, who was not part of the cricketing system because, district, state, whatever, organized cricket, he was found. Then there was another player, I forget. So they take those risks. But this is what happens is when you surprise in 2020, like he said, instinct. So a lot of players who are experienced players and with so much data, when you get a new guy in, what happens is that it's 24 balls. So first, if you've lost 2 wickets and you put somebody on, even if it's AB de Villiers or senior players who batting, they will give you respect for a couple of overs. So maybe that one game you'd go through. One game here, one game there, you surprise people. Yeah. So that's been their mantra of play.
Yeah.
This year you had actually, Butler at the top and Archer, Jofra Archer, who are like these blow-away players who can blow the other teams away. But people around them were all, people who do their work. So as a culture of that team, I still haven't seen what style they want to play, except, they play with bits and pieces players. And this year is the first time, or maybe last year, that you started finding these players who are match winners on their own.
Yeah.
So maybe next year we'll see more match winners in that side.
Also, Stokes
and not so much jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
Stokes underperformed. Big thing for them. Their marquee all-rounder underperformed. And looking at him, I think, he did really well in his first year in Pune. But after that, Stokes has not really lit it up out here. And I think he's a very field player. When he thinks he's up there and just hasn't had those seasons. I think it's important for them that he comes good if they're going to do well in the future, because they need that all-rounder out there. Their international players are very important to them. Butler, Stokes, Jofra Archer, they are match winners for them.
Yeah, and they actually manage to, they do this every time. Like you're saying, they get this unknown player, a lot of times young players, and they somehow get them to just perform, and a credit to the players as well, because Riyan Parag looks like he has that big stage temperament, and he's not 17, but he's 70 in his head, right? With the kind of maturity. But what does the team have to do? And Ajay, you'll know this because you were called to captain, Ranji later in your career, captain, coach, saying empower young players. How do you do that? What's sort of the tips to do that? How do you make them believe that you may be 17, the world may be watching, but come on, you're born for this?
Look, I felt this because, in fact, it was Rajasthan also one of the last places that I was leading and running. I believe what I'm saying here is that you actually don't need to motivate any of these guys. These guys have spent 10, 12 years of their lives fighting their parents, fighting the system that they go to school, fighting the
weather, the traffic,
I'm saying
the public transport.
This is all that they want to do. Yeah. Because when you see a 20-year-old kid, we see them as kid, but he's actually been doing this for the last 8, 10 years. And now maybe the culture is changing where, parents take their children and say, oh, play sport, play tennis, play cricket. But 99% of parents in this country have always said, oh, khelna nahi hai. So you don't need to motivate them. This is all that they want to do. Yeah. What you need to teach them is how to learn every situation, because there is no answer at a sport. Sachin Tendulkar in 20 years after playing also did make a mistake.
Yeah.
He got out to a certain thing, something happened. So if you don't teach them how to learn, you will have to sit with them as a tuition master every night and tell them, this is the plan, bowl like this against this fellow, bowl like this against this fellow. You have to teach them how to look at the game, how to understand the game, and how to react in the game. And that's all I did in Rajasthan, and that's all I always believe that. Because if that was the case, then all the great players, and everybody who's watching would understand this, that nobody loves their children more than the neighbor's children. They may say it, but it can't happen. It's human DNA.
Nobody loves their neighbor's children more than their own children. Ulta.
Okay, whichever. So if it was the wiser people who knew everything, they would have made their kids play the sport. Yeah. They would have made sure that, because if somebody's enjoyed playing for India for 10 years, why would he not want his son to enjoy that thing? So you cannot teach that. You cannot teach somebody how to be successful. People have tried. People are trying in the IPL. People are selling stories. People are selling, like we are selling a story here. Everybody is doing that bit. But the reality is, if you actually look into the stats and facts, how many fathers have been able to make their children players? If you look at that stat, you will get the answer.
I like your line where you said teach them to learn, because
that's all you can teach.
It's that old story is about you have to teach them to fish, right? Because feed a man a fish and he's not hungry for a day. if you teach him how to fish, he's never hungry for life. So teach him how to fish, don't give him the fish.
That's why I have you with me, brother.
There, I'm here to round it up. Don't worry. And we'll round it up with RCB. We spoke about this yesterday, and I was quite it was a point that was troubling me for the last couple of days, which is there's a team that is qualified with 12 points, and there is RCB with 11 points. Yet there is a certain unfair degree of harshness with which RCB is spoken about. And we spoke about it yesterday, and I think Simon Toole had a very good point where he said if you make an all-time sort of limited overs 11, you'd have a top 5 of all time, you'd have Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers in it, and that's why they are treated a little more harshly. When you look at it in the way they finished this season, they also had a 6-match loss run. There's a lot of, coulda, woulda, shoulda that happens in a season, but I still think the problem for RCB perhaps has been, which was last year, was it took them a little time, this year less than last year, to get their perfect 11 combination.
Yeah.
Right? And once they got it, it worked for them. But that also happens because it's an abundance, it's an embarrassment of riches almost, because they're foreign players especially. They've got foreign players who would probably make the team in any franchise.
Yeah, but I think that's one of the things. It's very interesting. It's like what he said about CSK. So CSK picks positions.
Yeah.
I want a left-handed all-rounder, or I want a left-handed batsman, lower order batsman, bowls a bit. Okay. RCB, by its nature, by the nature of how it was, and starting from its original owner, Mr. Malia, pick stars. So then when you pick stars, they don't necessarily fit in the way you need them to fit in.
Yeah.
So, for example, these guys are also trying to discover. They picked Hetmeh, they didn't know where to play him. So they picked Shivam Dube because he was a hot guy, he's hit 5 sixes. Does he fit in with their team? Not particularly sure. So that's one of the problems that they've had. They've picked stars sometimes, and maybe they're already stuck with these stars, and now they've got to fit it. So it takes a long time because you haven't started by saying, okay, this is my 11, and this is the guy who's going to bat here, this is the guy who's going to bat here.
That's
the reverse.
Point.
So
yeah.
Are you picking people or are you picking positions? What are you feeling?
Yeah.
And I think RCB as a strategy normally used to fill people. KP is a big guy in the market, let's buy KP.
Yeah.
He's a big guy, we've got to buy the big guy.
But whereas CSK is going, all right, we need an opener, I need a middle order batsman, I need a pace bowler, I need a...
Yeah, I'm much more specific. I need an international fast bowler who will bowl well, swings the ball a bit. So Bell Hinfield now will come in. That's how they think. I want a replacement for Dwan Bravo, so you have Kugelin out there who bowls fast, whacks the ball, low order batsman. I've got him. But I'm not saying I want Scott Kugelin. I'll say I want a Bravo kind of...
From among these 4 5. Now let's whittle it down and get from above these 4 5.
That's the trick.
Yeah, that's it.
He's absolutely...
That's the trick. And with Gary Kirsten, when he said, well, we're going to be making some structural changes in RCB, does it mean this? Does it mean the thinking will change to a way where we're going, okay, hang on, we're not going to buy superstars and try to weld a team out of it. We're going to keep the mold of the team and then put the correct pieces in, much like the jigsaw puzzle you spoke about earlier.
Yeah, because I guess, look, Gary's coaching that we've seen with Indian cricket was very simple. It was Mahendra Singh Dhoni who was running the side, and Gary was supporting in the way, and he's one of those person who believes in long-term coaching and not about analytical. He doesn't come up with these strategies every now and then. And Indian cricket around that time played in a certain way. So he likes that solidity in style, and maybe that's what he wants to bring it in. So because that's what we know.
Yeah, that could be it. I mean, they've got really exciting foreign players, but so many of them can't make the side. And by the time you try to go, and there's temptation, of course, to play them, right? When you've got a guy like Hetmeyer sitting on the bench, you're going, oh man, I've seen what he's capable of. Should I put him in? But then who do I drop? Who goes?
Problem of plenty.
Problem of plenty, as I said. It's an embarrassment of riches, but it's a good problem to have, rather than with some other teams where you go, oops, I don't have enough players to fill, right? We've seen that problem as well. You also have a problem of plenty. You've seen this whole English show and you've liked it, but you want to see more. And maybe you want to see a little bit in Hindi. Or you're saying, यार ये वाला देखा तो, पर काफी बातें ना इन्होंने थोड़ी बाउंसर मार दी. पर juicy half volley in the slot, वो भी आ रही है आपके पास. वो आएगी आपके पास 8 बजे. MPL presents Cricbuzz live playoff पर नजर, जहां पर जो 4 टीमें खेलने वाली हैं मैच 1, 2, 3, 4. तो 4 की बात तो एक तो फाइनल है, उसमें कौन खेलेगा पता नहीं, तीसरे कौन खेलेगा. तो पहले 2 मैचेस की बात करेंगे हम, ठीक है? क्योंकि पहले 2 हमें पता है कौन. ठीक है, तो चारों टीम की बात करेंगे, पहले 2 मैचेस की बात करेंगे और थोड़ा यहाँ वहाँ थोड़ा मौसम बड़ा पाव वगैरह की भी बातें हो भी जाएंगी। तो उसके लिए हमारे साथ आइएगा 8 बजे, जो है अब से करीब 50 मिनट में। 50 ना, घड़ी बंद तो नहीं होगी मेरी?
50 ही है।
बंद भी हो तो
अजीत, मैंने तुम्हें बोला था कि घड़ी के लिए बैटरी लेके आओ, क्या करा तुमने? ओहो, चलो कोई बात नहीं, सबका टाइम आएगा।
मैंने कहा बंद भी हो तो दिन में 2 बार तो सही टाइम दिखाती है।
कितनी अच्छी लगी है ना वो लाइन।
सर मेरे पास लाइन 2-3 सीखता हूँ यहाँ से, वही निकालते
है तो बढ़िया लाइन वो। Even a broken watch shows you, even a broken watch is correct twice a day. It's a bit like me.
And me.
Sometimes I'm not. Sometimes the second time I'm right in the day, everyone is asleep. Nobody knows. But one time you'll be awake for. That's all we have time for right now. It's been fun discussing all of these with all of you. And of course with Ajay and Joy. I'm not going to say bye to them because I'm now going to escort them one floor above where our Hindi studios. Wait 1 second.
Let's sit here.
Why not sit here and do it?
Yes.
Why do we have to change the studio?
I'm your man.
We're going to do it from here. Let's do it. We're comfortable. We're here. We're mic'd up. Our tea and coffee is here. All right, let's see.
Maybe the Hindi.
I think there is going to be a tussle now. Ajit and me are going to be locked in an eye embrace. Let's see who wins. We're going to see you later.